or focusing on something different. But not me. Nope, nope. You can count on me. Be here. I mean, I've worked on Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, anniversaries, every day. And the good news is you don't have to do it all day, but it is really good if you do it every day. So anyway, GM. We can make this a 5 minute call or a 90-minute call. AMA, ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about real estate or marketing. It could be about anything. That's the benefits of these bonus streams. I did want to just go over real quick the quote of the day, which is opportunities don't happen, you create them. So let's go create some more opportunity, huh? Really, really excited about this E3 thing. It's amazing to think that $1 million income is within reach. And for plenty of people, 500,000, 250, 100,000 in a day, 50 grand, 20 grand in a day. Heck, there'll be some people who spent the $200 to go and still make $500 or $700 and got paid to attend. So it's quite the opportunity we have. I think the people in Utah have an extra advantage and should really be raking in the dough on this one. So anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? We can talk about farming. We can talk about geopolitics. We can talk about global warming. We could talk about parenting. We could talk about animal husbandry. We could talk about financial markets. We could talk about construction. I'm learning how to sew right now, of all things. Um, it's very strange. I have to be so precise. You're gonna get the needle, get the thread through the eye. The whole thing is very tricky. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on. What are you guys
Mike, why are
working?
you doing it by hand?
I'm doing it by hand
What,
because
why are you sewing by hand? What are you working on?
well, I put my
Hand
classes on.
coordination.
That does help. Now, I put my classes on in the background, so while I'm doing it, I'm still getting smarter. But I'm actually learning how to sew my own um, leather. I'm tanning some animal hides and making a big blanket out of some hides. So I've already done three. Um, so the first part was, you know, I had to sew the bullet holes, and
And sewing's a survival skill. Everybody should know
it,
how to do that.
yeah, and you can count on Pete to remember survival skills. But now that I've learned how to tan deer hides and pig hides, now I'm doing rabbit hides. And so each rabbit hide we get you know, 10-inch by 10-inch square. And so now I gotta assemble all of those into a blanket. And if properly taken care of, it should last a couple decades. So
Hey, you should work on using snares and headshots. Make your life easier.
stairs and headshots, what are you talking about?
Catch rabbits with snares. So you don't
Oh,
put any holes
snares.
there. Snares, yeah. And headshots for the deer. Hit him in the head so you don't mess up the pelt.
You know, um, I had that thought too, but then when you look at the risk reward ratio, you got such a big target on the body versus such a little target on the head.
That's why it's called a sport.
There you go. So anyway, I figured in this whole process, what Renatus does was self-reliance, personal responsibility, and you know, abundance and decentralization. This whole thing. that's one thing that kicked off me growing my own food 5 years ago was self-reliance. How reliant can I be if all of my food is sitting on the Albertson shelf? I'm not self-reliant at all. And even if you have $1 million, if all of your bread comes from the store, or if all of your meat comes from a grocery store that someone else controls, you have no control. And so just continuing that theme of personal responsibility is why I started growing my own food. And then when I learned how all that stuff worked, I was like, oh, it's not just gardening. I have to actually have animals because if I have animals, then I can use the chickens for bug mitigation and I don't have to pay pesticide companies and fertilizer companies. I got my pest control and some manure. Then you get the pigs to do all the tilling and then also fertilizing. But if I went and got a tractor to do the tilling, now I have to pay for oil and maintenance and registration and insurance and upkeep and all that. But if you get a bag pig, you just eat it, So more and more of that self-reliance is spreading out to every area of my life. Yes, Crin, GM.
Good morning. When we are ready to switch subject, I have a personal question that I don't mind asking publicly.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, let's go for it.
I would appreciate guidance as to what software or what information can I use to keep track of bookkeeping. I'm early in my business, but I feel so overwhelmed on, I have some receipts that are digital, some receipts that are hard copy, and hours spent labor wise versus having my kids work. I know they should not work more hours than I have put in, but I just don't have a good system on how to keep track, and I feel overwhelmed.
Okay. So, a couple ideas. One thing that simplified my life is using two different cards. So, if I know for sure this is a business transaction, I will use this card. If it's personal, I will use this other card. So, right away, I've already know that when I open up
That's good.
this bank account, everything on that line item is going to be at least the standard deduction. If I don't itemize it and put it into its own buckets, at least it's all separate from my personal.
Perfect. Because I do have a business checking account and business savings account and a debit card or associated with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you know, yeah, you got $100 in there, but you have a $150 purchase coming up, then you can transfer it from your personal into the business and then spend it from the business. And that still keeps it neat and organized.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. And then the way to think about that too, if there's two different approaches, but the simplest way is to think about your personal self is capitalizing or lending money to your business self. Right? It wasn't really a transaction between you and your business. So how did the money end up over there? You can just say it was a loan. And then your business can pay yourself back, or it can just stay in the business. But if some accountants are like, well, how do I label that? You could just say loan to business.
Good.
So what does that make you think?
No, that's great. I can put that memo when I do the wire transfer. Okay, and then should I have like a separate Excel sheet to keep track of hours spent on whether it's like the board meeting or prepping for websites and anything business related? hiring my
Only
kids and all that stuff.
only if you want to. You can completely on December 31st, on the very last minute of the year, you can just say my kid worked 100 hours or my kid worked 2 hours. You don't have to track it the whole way. You will ultimately be putting the number at the end of the year that's best for your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you need to be able to pay your kids the full 14,000, then just say my kid worked 100 hours and I paid him $140 an hour. Not a big deal. Um, but if you're only going to pay your kid 1,000, then it's arbitrary. You're not going to be audited per minute how much you pay your kids. What your CPA is going to do at
Oh,
the end of the
okay.
year is they're going
Maybe
to
I'm
look
just
at,
making more big deal.
yeah, I think so. Which is good because you're trying to follow rules and be compliant, but the level of stress that it has created in your life is not good. And so,
Yes, and I have a tendency to get very detailed. And if I can back up a little bit and don't be too extra detailed, I would feel much better.
yep. Yeah, so I felt that same way too because when I watched the tax class, I'm like, whoa, I could get it down to almost zero and keep all of my money. But then I looked at the time, one, and then the mental energy, two, on that stuff. And for me, nah, I would rather reduce 90% of the time and pay 10% more money and just not care.
Yeah, very good. I have a appointment with my CPA next week for our mid-year checkup and strategic planning and things like that. So that's good. I'll go over that with him as well.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, a real good CPA will ask you at the end of the year things like, how much do you want to pay this year? How much do you want to pay in taxes this year?
Mhm.
If they're not asking that, then they're not thinking.
As little as possible.
Well, it depends. If you have a 3 or 5 year game plan and you need to show 50 grand a year in income so you can go get a $500,000 loan versus if you only pay and show 20,000 a year for the next couple years and you only get a $200,000 loan. So that trade-off, I'm going to pay the IRS now, then I'm going to get a bigger loan later, or I'm going to pay less to the IRS, keep more of my money now and get a smaller loan later. It's, you know, on a 2 year, 5 year, 10 year plan, you might be okay with paying more taxes now so you can get bigger loans to buy more assets. And then those assets can then pay you back. Versus, I see some people who get their taxes down to nothing. They literally show zero income on their taxes. And so now a bank doesn't want to work with them because banks need either people with income or assets with income. And so the first couple of years, I maxed out and took all the write offs I possibly could. And then the last couple of years, I'm back into asset accumulation. So I have been paying some taxes so that when I go to the bank, I can wave my funny paper around, hey, give me some of your fake money. And then they will. And then I can go buy a real asset with it. So for me, that trade off is there. And because I know I'm going to pay more in taxes, I can spend only 5% of the time on it that I used to compared to several years ago when I was trying to keep every dollar from the IRS. So for me,
Yeah.
it's more rewarding to have less stress and less day to day. Now, Steve, on the other hand, I see Steve, I see Gilda, they love spreadsheets. They live in spreadsheet world. And when they go to sleep, they think about spreadsheets. And when they wake up, they think about spreadsheets. So for them, they're going to max out all of it because it's no extra work. But for people like you and me, we need to spend time with our kids and we're doing this and these other things. And spreadsheets aren't part of our secondary nature. Lower stress would be the
Yes.
more optimal choice.
Very good. Thank you. Michael,
Yeah.
do you plan to come earlier uh, before E3 this fall?
I'm
Have you
thinking
made that
about it.
decision?
I need to rearrange a few things. I signed Benjamin up for baseball. He's very competitive now. And the last three championship games are the week before or the week of E3. So I'm already going to miss all of those. But I was thinking if I really want to go early, I'm going to have to butcher almost all the animals because I don't want to make more work for Vanessa. So I got to get rid of all the pigs. Well, I guess I'll keep three of the pigs until November because they'll put on
Can
an
you
extra 100 pounds in
can you
that last.
contract a butcher to do it for you? You know, pay him pennies while you make dollars in Utah.
Yeah, yes, um, yes. But then all the money I saved by growing my own animal would go right to the butcher. They are not cheap. Also, I learned that butcher is the verb, the noun is abattoir. And that's the place, right? Going to the butcher, going to the abattoir. So I don't even think it's an English word. I think it's a French word. Is that a winter is coming butchering? I don't understand your question. I think you're saying does winter mean
It's a
butchering?
Game of Thrones reference. You know, winter is coming. You have to get everything ready because you
Oh,
can't
gotcha.
go out. You
Yeah,
can't go out. You can't do anything. So you got to make sure the food's stocked.
that's right. Gotcha. Winter is coming. So yeah, I need to talk with Vanessa 1 week ahead of time, go to a couple networking events, find some people, do some trainings. 2 weeks ahead of time, not a month, not like last time. I was there for 5 weeks last time, 35 days. It was awesome. 35 days, 42 events, and since then, yeah, we made easy six figures from that event, me personally. So, um, worth it for
That pay for
sure.
a lot of butchers.
One of the other benefits was hanging out with Pete all that time.
And the
Pete
meat's
didn't.
organic.
Yeah, yeah. We stayed up till 2 a.m. and then we'd get up at 7 a.m. Because here, I mean, the team calls at 9 a.m. But when I'm in Utah, it's at 8 a.m. So I got to get up even earlier. And what I found when I travel and I do these different things, there's three types of ICM schedules. There's the ICMs who like to get up early and then they're out early. They don't want to do a 7 p.m. meeting. They don't want. Then there's the midday people who are just busy all the time. But then they don't want to hang out past like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock p.m. And then there's those ICMs who their best time is like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then I'm hanging out with them too. So I get up, I'm hanging out with the 7 a.m.ers all the way to the 2 a.m.ers. How many weeks can you do that? But I sure have a blast doing it. But yeah, it's not a sustainable schedule. So I will have an answer for you soon about when I'm coming out. All right. So other questions that could be on any topic, folks. This is the bonus AMA.
My computer is getting so old that more and more things are not working on it because it's obsolete. So, what do you recommend for a replacement laptop or even a tablet? What, in your experience, be the best thing to replace an aging computer with?
Well, a tablet does not replace a computer. So a tablet is an accessory. If you had to pick one, definitely the computer. Now, the next question is, are you more interested in simplicity, security or privacy? I guess security and privacy are kind of the same, but they are different too.
I have to go with simplicity because I'm an old person and can't hardly remember my own password, much less all the little tricks. I got a smarter than me phone right now.
Yeah, it's a dangerous way to live. You got you got to be smarter than your phone. Okay. If I wanted simplicity, because you already use a Mac, I would probably go the new Macs are amazing. They'll last you 10 years. They have a pretty good antivirus software.
I'm still using the Mac you got for me back in 2014 or 2016, something like that. It just said it's so obsolete that they're not doing upgrades with it anymore. And more and more programs say you have to go back to safety. They won't let me go where I need to go.
Yeah, so if you went and got either a refurbished Mac, like a 2 or 3 year old one, and just have them wipe it clean and start fresh, you'd be in $1,000, maybe 1,100. If you buy brand new, you're looking at 15 to 2,000. But like I said, it's gonna last you 10 years if you take care of it. And then not installing things that you don't need. Holy moly, guys. By default, we give too much permission to every app, and it wants to track your location, give you notifications, wants to track even your keystrokes, depending on what you type. Please be careful about what you're giving permission to things to. You really should consider de-Googling. I sent a few of you guys a picture. De-Googling. If you would have known that 10 years ago, when you signed up for a Google account, that they would track every conversation, every movement, every piece of data you send or receive, if you would have known that they were going to track all of that and then use it to sell you things you think you need, would you really have signed up for that service? Hey, we're going to monitor your heartbeat and every time you fart, and we're going to take all that data and sell it everywhere. We'll get rich off of spying on you. Sound like a deal? No one would sign up for that. But that's what happened.
What do you recommend replacing it with instead?
Okay, so here's a few options I put on the screen here. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay.
I took a screenshot.
Do you guys remember in Dane's story, he often tells about when he had bought like 10 properties at once and like 50 in that same entity over a multi-year period. And one of our team members went to the courthouse, was looking up foreclosures and tax delinquencies and stuff, and was just looking in spreadsheets and charts. And he found Dane's LLC listed 100 times on all these properties. And then, because our student was well educated, went and looked it up and went, "Oh my goodness, that's Dane." Within minutes, Dane's identity was exposed and how many properties his name was on. So at ICM called up Dane and said, "Dane, you've got to change how you're doing it. Yes, it's legally safe, but you are not private at all." So then Dane switched years ago to using trusts instead of LLCs, because trusts are not recorded at a county level, at a courthouse. They're not recorded at all, who's in them and who owns what percentage of anything. And so Dane instantly increased his privacy, his security, and his clients' privacy and security. Right? When you're dealing with the amount of money we're planning on dealing with, and you got other people's social security numbers, maybe you have their credit card numbers, you definitely have their address with these different partners and people you're working with. It's your duty to keep that stuff secure and private. And sure, Google has a great vibe about it's secure, but it's not private at all. Everything you've ever uploaded to Google Drive has been scanned by their robots. Every picture, every text, every email is all scanned by them. And then in some ways used against you. So this company called Proton worked to copy all the conveniences and time-saving tools that Google offers with their cloud apps. Like Drive is really nice. You don't have to store it all on your computer. You can store it in a cloud, except for they're spying on you and they sell it and they use it against you. So like instead of Google Drive, use Proton Drive. But at the bare minimum, you guys should be using a VPN and making it harder for anyone to want to hack or spy on your systems. But each one of these is an alternative to privacy.
They can't fucking do it.
You can. I believe in you. Keeps getting better.
You're saying use a proton drive instead of the moron drive.
There you go. Yep. I mean, yeah, you guys are going to be multimillionaires. You need to be acting like your privacy tools are on par with the amount of wealth you plan to have and control and store and pass on. So, whenever you get your new laptop, don't just take a copy and immediately paste it onto your new computer. You would be dragging all of that spyware onto your new one. Don't do that. When you get your new laptop, whatever files you do want to transfer over, put into either Google Drive or Proton Drive. Put it up into that server, get your new laptop set up, and then pull it off of there. Only what you need. Don't, I think it's called time capsule or something like that, where you just pause that computer and then pick up on the next one. Like, seamless. That's cool, but you're going to carry all the bugs over. So don't do that. Cool. What else?
Michael, comment.
Yes, sir.
All right, as with reference to Kim, I just want to make sure she picks up in her in the chat box two referrals for management, regardless of what level you're at. They're the two best ones on the planet, so I put them in the chat already for her.
Awesome. Well, there you go, Corinne. Couple referrals.
That's awesome. For some reason, the only thing I see in the chat is the comment about that a winter is coming, and then are all these apps for computers, and also reject the cookies. I see those three comments.
Click on new chat and assign it to me. I'll reply.
Who is me? I can tell.
Bill Winkler.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Bill.
And I don't care if you have 1 unit, 10 units, doesn't matter. They're the two best on the planet because they organize not only for the rental, they organize your business structure, they organize just about anything you want. And I don't recommend it, but you can even put your personal account in there. So have a good look,
Oh,
see.
I see. Oh, what's the found it.
Those programs will also cover extended stays as well. Anybody interested in pad split? I'd love a conversation on that.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about pad split and also about oh, it's called, oh, come on.
We just got approved for the program.
Nice. What was the other one called?
Let's see how it goes.
I gotta look it up. There's a company that has tokenized real estate. Now, before you go and buy anything, please don't. Let us do a training on it. But yeah, instead of buying the entire property yourself, you can now buy fractions of it, get the cash flow from it, liquidate it at any time. It's a really neat process. I'll have one of our genius ICMs has been working on it for years, and when it's ready, I'll show you guys how it works.
If you ever want to cover that topic, I'd be happy to show and tell for you.
Okay, well, Gilda, Pete, Steve, who else is here? Heidi,
Well,
Aubrey,
I have a
Tim.
question on the chat too. I don't know if you saw it. It said all those apps. So your screenshot, does that also what about for phones? Are they the same? Or is there some other things? Because I've noticed like it
Well,
might be a
yep.
little different.
No, for phones, you got to get a whole new phone, dude. All of us need new phones. The way
Do
that our are
do
working,
tell. Do tell.
guys, it is disgusting how much these things spy on us. So I'm switching. The program that you're gonna want is called Graphene. Graphene OS.
I did hear that you could also get Blackberries.
I want my flip phone back.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
Like I heard Blackberries were like everybody in the government had Blackberries because they were not able they were almost impossible to track and they were like very extremely private.
Yeah, but that was 14 years ago. Now the spying has been so much more sophisticated. But Graphene OS is the Android replacement. Real quick, real easy. It looks exactly like Android. They copied so much of the feel and the vibe, so it's just easy to use. But it's open source code, so you can see that there is no spyware installed on it. And then if you want to put a different apps and different things on your phone, then instead of using the Play Store, you would use Obtainium. And you can get all the same apps. You don't have to give them your name. You don't have to give them your email address. Right? It's a very private thing. And privacy is a right. Privacy is not anonymity per se. They're two different things, but privacy is definitely a thing that you can decide. Privacy is you reveal what you choose, to whom you choose. It's a choice. You got to be able to choose, right? And if you don't get to choose, and the silly justification of, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so you can look. No, that's not how it works. That is one step away from tyranny and suffering. And anyone who believes that spying is a form of security, and you're going to swallow that pill and go, oh, well, they're just watching me for my protection. You're not free. Benjamin Franklin has a wonderful quote that says, anyone who gives up liberty for safety deserves neither. So do not give up your privacy for convenience, and don't give up your privacy to try to look innocent because you have nothing to hide. Those are two different conversations. Privacy is its own thing. Why do you shut the door when you take a shower? You got nothing to hide? Still, privacy is a thing for humans. And so Google Chrome is corrupt. They are selling every button you type while you're using Google Chrome, they can watch. The keystroke watchers. And as you become more and more wealthy over time, you become a bigger and bigger target. So yes, you have your LLCs. Yes, you have your S Corp. Yes, you have your trusts. Those are their own shields and protection from, malicious actors who want to come and steal from you. Take that same level of seriousness to your cybersecurity. Use privacy browsers, use privacy phones, use programs that are open source. Open source. It's just two different things, open source and closed source. That's it. And open source creates trust. That's why Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, because his Tesla is open source, his AI is open source. You can copy, he didn't patent stuff. You can copy his stuff and go and make your own, because there's nothing to hide in his mindset. We're just here to create wealth, and you can trust it because you can see every bit of the code. He was the original investor and founder for ChatGPT, which the company is called OpenAI. I think he put 100 million or a billion, something like that, into starting this company. He hired 40 or 50 engineers, including Sam Altman, and then he left. And then Sam closed it down, and it is no longer open source. They're still called OpenAI, but they're not open. It is a closed source spyware. Stop using ChatGPT. They monitor every single thing you say, and they sell that data, and then someone else comes and markets it back at you. So OpenAI is not open source. Yeah, in fact, Elon is suing Sam because a few things, but one of them is that they're claiming to be open and they're not. So anyway, people who give up liberty for safety deserve neither. Something to think about. A conversation for the dinner table with your family. Steve points out also in the chat, reject cookies all the time. Especially when you're traveling in Europe, it's on every single website. It's not happening enough here, but the pop-ups on every single page. Reject cookies, accept cookies, or default only. Reject it all the time, as much as possible, because if you knew, there's got to be some visual, how many things are spying on you at all times. Even your no one wants to hear this that has them because they love them, but the Apple EarPods, they're monitoring your blood, your heartbeat. They're monitoring. They can even detect the electricity going from one side of your brain to the other, so they can but detect different emotions based off of where the electricity is happening in your brain in relation to the sensors that you're wearing around in your ears. It blows my mind how, I could understand the rest of the world doing it, but Americans are like, give me liberty or give me death, but you can spy on my brain. We got to fix these contradictions, folks. Yeah, it's crazy. So we started on the topic of self-reliance, how to become a successful and self-reliant person. You have to make your own money. You got to make your own food. You got to claim your own data. Or you become dependent. And that's the opposite of what we're doing here, right?
Why
So
is it
GM,
that, Michael, when you're running foreclosure leads, they're not responsive until last minute and it's too late to help them.
A lot of times, yeah, it's super frustrating because
Yeah.
it's like, guys, I could have helped you even 72 hours ago, a week
Yep.
ago, if you would have just called me. You put my postcard on your fridge for 3 months and you left it there.
Yeah, for example, like one guy, I can't help him because today's a holiday and tomorrow his house is up for auction. And if only today wasn't a holiday, I could file a bankruptcy and delay the process and do something. But today's a holiday. There's nothing I can do unless I go to the auction and bid on the house and overpay, and I don't want to do that.
Right? Yeah, because there's those professional sharks that are like, okay, cool, we'll let you have this one, but we're going to make you overpay by double and you'll never go
Mhm.
back.
Yeah. So I'm like, I gotta call him today later today because we talked last night. I'm like, dude, only you talked to me like Friday, I could have helped you, but today is too late. I can't do anything else. It's tough,
Amazing.
man.
So, folks, this is a great reminder that while we're out there to go and serve and help people, um, this guy's suffering is going to go up because he delayed his action. And so you can use that story when you're talking and say, hey, I know plenty of people who are in your situation, but they waited too long and we weren't able to help them. And one thing I use as like it's a reality that people aren't aware of, but I use it as a scare tactic to take action, is the delinquency judgment. If it goes to auction and sells for less than what the bank is owed, they can sue that homeowner, that seller, that borrower. They can sue him for the difference. You borrowed 200, it went to auction for 150. We're going to sue you for the remaining 50 because you still owe us 200.
And not only that, if the judge agrees with them, you could also receive a 1099 for that money you never see, you never received. So
Yeah.
it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, you're going to pay taxes on money you never touched because it was
Yeah.
technically a profit to you because it got wiped off of someone else's books as a debt. So when we're helping these homeowners and we're saying, look, the reason why our business is so successful is because we help people with the biggest problem of their life. But you got to work on the schedule I'm telling you, or else we won't be able to help you. Just like this guy last weekend, and then tell Steve's story. He called me on a Saturday, but because Monday was a holiday and his auction's on Tuesday, we weren't able to help him, and he lost his house to an auction. Well, we could have bought him 3 months, 6 months of time. He could have moved out with some dignity on his own schedule, but because he delayed even by one day, it cost him tens of thousands of dollars, stress beyond belief. Probably going to lose a year of his life from stress
And his credit.
and his credit, and he could be potentially sued for the difference. So you
This
start
guy,
on all these like
he's literally, I have one of the things called atomic bomb closing. So he's literally have a 10 years of nightmare waiting ahead of him and he doesn't know it. He's thinking that bankruptcy is that foreclosure is the end. It's just the beginning. Because he's probably gonna have struggle finding jobs. His credit's gonna go to shit. And
Foreclosure, the end of one chapter, it starts the next chapter,
yeah.
the worst chapter.
Yeah, so when you're out there and you're building your real estate business, you are saving people so much headache and stress. A lot of people don't recognize it though because they are oblivious to the process. And so real estate investors have two different kinds of reputations, right? There's like the hero and there's also the villain. And sure, there are a few turds out there that ruin the punch bowl for everybody. But by and large, a real estate investor is just an average American who just doesn't want to be robbed by the Federal Reserve, and they're forced into investing. Otherwise, you get debased, and cash is trash. You ever heard that? Cash is trash. You need hard assets. So privacy is very important, especially as AI starts to monitor you more. One thing Elon was saying in a different interview with some other brainiacs was that the giant companies like Google and Facebook that have their AIs that are watching you, we're each individually going to have an AI agent that we train that will kind of be like our sword to their sword, our shield to their shield. And you can hang with the big dogs as an individual with your AI homie that will detect different AI manipulation against you and these different things, and you'll just have your own personal AI that's not connected to the internet. That maybe it's just stored on your phone or your laptop. That's its own standalone bot, and yeah, we are moving into a really special time. Hard to explain. Just how different things are going to be in the next 20 years. Right? Could you imagine trying to explain to your great grandma about cars? Cars was a horse and buggy. Was a horse and buggy.
I used to hang out with a guy who was born in 1898. He'd tell me about the way life was back in the 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. He saw them land on the moon and he started on horseback. Imagine what our lifetime's going to see.
Yeah, with exponential growth, it's gonna be nuts. Guys, did you see the Starship 10 launch last weekend? Successful beyond measure. They got every piece of data they wanted, and they said they're ready to send robots to Mars now because of what they learned on that launch. I think it was on Friday or Thursday. They said, "Yep, we can go to Mars now." So I think by this time next year, they want to have 1,000 ships loaded, each with, I think, either 1 or 3,000 Optimus robots. Send them to Mars. And they're going to build a whole station nonstop, 24/7. These robots will just build, and then we'll send the next wave of ships with humans on them. We'll probably never see them again because coming back from Mars is, I mean, that's part of the plan, right? It's supposed to be like a taxi, these things that he's making. But along the way, like the amount of data that's going to be captured and the desirability of privacy is going to be the new rich. Okay, think about this: 80s and 90s, 2000s. The symbol of wealth was a giant house and a bunch of expensive cars that are uncomfortable. Have you ever been in a Lamborghini? They are not comfortable. Have you been in a Ferrari? They're not comfortable. That's why I got the Beamer. I can beat the Ferrari, I could beat the Lambo, and I got suspension. I can go over a speed bump and not break my neck. Those kind of cars are not comfortable. They don't have AC. They don't have power seats. It's the wrong image of wealth. And then this giant house, okay, a 10,000 square foot house, such a pain in the butt to manage, to maintain, to clean. Stuff is always breaking. Nobody wants a house like that they're not using, okay? But then what happened is that level of wealth became the thing, so people went for it. But then they started having heart attacks at 40 and 50 and not living a full life. And then people realized, oh, the real level of wealth is health. Yes, finally, people are getting it. And so people started prioritizing sleep. Thank goodness we started having some more sense. But now the new way to brag is sleep. I get 8 hours of sleep a day. Back in the 80s, 90s, 2000, you would brag about only sleeping 4 hours a day because you were working so hard. But then you would work yourself to death. So then people started bragging. You know, one of the consistent things around wealthy, high net worth individuals that they do with their kids is sports. They never miss a game. That's just like something that's in their habits. All right, that's the new way to brag. But what I'm seeing in over the next several years is another sign of wealth is that you control your own data. You control your own privacy. And learning how to do that stuff now, I mean, we should have learned that 10 years ago. But now there's a giant need for you to maintain your privacy. Not necessarily a secret. We're not trying to be secretive. It's just privacy. You decide who can see what. Like, think about this, for example. When you go and you have to show your ID to buy a beer or whatever, do you realize how much other data you are divulging by just showing your age on that thing? Why does that person need to know my middle name? Why does that person need to know my height, my weight, my address, right? Just to see my age? Why do you need to know where I live? Why do you need to know my middle name? Why do you need to know these other things? You see what I mean? So like, if I just needed to show my age, hold up the thing that says age, but it shows everything. I want some of that stuff to be private, right? So that's where I'm saying like we're gonna get to a point where data privacy is going to be a sign of wealth, and those people that have no privacy are going to be the poorest. What do you guys think about that? You guys picking up what I'm putting down?
But it's currently the reality. I mean, whoever the poor people don't care about the data, they're just giving it up. I mean, it's currently the reality because they're not putting any safety net to protect their stuff. And that's how they'd end up with identity theft and those kind of things. I'm not saying that it's
Goodness.
their victim, but it's because they're not protecting themselves that these things are happening.
Yep. Too
Well, and plus
easy.
they don't have anything to protect. They don't care because they don't have anything that they own or something. So.
That's the problem is that that's their
That's
perception.
the
Mm-hmm.
mindset.
Right. Right. And another thing also, the Gen Zs, they don't care about their privacy. It's just like they're online all the time. So
Yeah, and it's rotting their brain. I
yeah.
saw a thing that said, please don't give your kids a phone until they're 14. And for girls, they were saying that while they're still developing that second phase of their brain, since they're more susceptible to emotional swings, they should be off social media until they're 16 to 18 and more of that maturation is set in. Because what we know is that comparison is the thief of joy. And social media is the comparison arena, isn't it? So get your kids away from these phones. Get graphene OS. I forget the
But
other one. The
the
iPhone.
exposure of the things that's not real. I mean, everything in social media is not real. Like the perception, you'd be surprised how many people that goes just booked something that looks like something to create a perception, and just so they can sell a course, they can sell something to get 100 people, 1,000 people on there, and then they upended it and go do something else because they get that immediate satisfaction of all these idiots that's willing to pay for it.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like watching a music video, right? Like that they just rented that hotel room, they rented that car, they rented the people, right? That many people aren't following them to all the time, right? They just rented everything to make the music video, and so we know that that's not real. That was just part of the show. But then we forget that that still applies to everything you see on Instagram. So I get it. I know we need to put ads out. I know we need to build a brand, but in considering that you're building your brand, do you need to build a brand with your name and your face? Can't you build a brand and be private at the same time? Um, you know, I remember thinking when I had my first baby, I'm like, marketing. I now have baby effect, right? It's like the puppy. When you walk around, you got a puppy, more people want to come and talk to you. Same with the baby. But my wife was like, no, um, you have to wait until that boy gives you a consent form before you can just upload his life onto the internet. And I was like, okay. She goes, isn't that what you would want? Wouldn't you like the ability to choose whether or not 1,000 or 10,000 pictures of you are up on the internet forever and ever and ever? Yeah, I guess I would like that choice. She said, okay, we'll take all the pictures, but we're not going to upload them. Or if you go back and scroll through, years ago when I was using Facebook, all of the pictures, my baby's face is turned around. You can see he's having fun in the garden, but you can't see his face. And I get it. brand appeal and face and name definitely help. But the trade-off, you're no longer private. And I think in the long run, the trade-off isn't worth it. Would you rather have $1 million more to your net worth, or peace of mind that nobody knows where you live or where your kid likes to go hang out and things like that? So you also owe your clients a certain level of privacy, especially if you're doing short sales and foreclosures. You got their financial life in a folder. You could easily be breaking laws if you don't protect their info. Like, for example, if you are dealing with someone's credit score, or I mean credit file, credit report, you cannot work in a shared office. You know, those rent an office, shared type deals, rent by the hour, rent by the day, subscription model offices aren't compliant for you to be storing people's data, financial data like that. And you don't know that, so you go rent something for $300 a month, and you think you're all fancy with your new office not office, but now you've broken the law. So, and it was around privacy. So will you guys this week just look up some low-hanging fruit, easy, common privacy methods? Your future self will thank you. I mean, I go back and look and I'm like, if I would have put that in a trust and that in a trust, I would not be getting 100 phone calls a day. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I might get 20 or 30 calls a day now because my data got leaked. Ooh, that just reminds me. Another website I want to show you guys real quick, because some of you don't know, you missed the memo. There is a site where you can check if your email address has been exposed to a data breach. Check this out. I don't quite understand the colloquialism, but this is what it is right here. So punch your email address into this, and it'll tell you it'll tell you what data breaches and when, and what website you logged into, how they didn't keep up with their data security, and now who has access to your email and passwords. So you can check this out. And if, I mean, some of them, when I typed in mine, I was like, 90 data breaches in the last 10 years for my main email address. I got to change, man. How many hackers now know how to get in and these different things? And it's nuts. So as I've been increasing my privacy and I've been enjoying my privacy, I thought, what else does my team? I mean, I'm constantly thinking about what would be good for my team. If it's benefiting me, will it benefit them? Let's bring it up. And so that's why I'm talking about and have been talking about privacy for a long time. But today we're kind of getting real deep into it. Yeah, my
Michael?
stress level has gone down more as I've been learning this. Yes, go ahead.
So once I go to the website and let's say has been exposed, what should my next step be? Should I sign up a new email or just change the password?
I mean, yeah, the simplest right away would be changing the password, but then going back to that screenshot where I showed you about, instead of Google Drive, use Proton Drive and start migrating the data or files, folders that you want to keep over to there. And then you can just abandon the other one, shut it down. When I started thinking about what files I would actually keep, right? If I had to move each one without a cool software doing it for me. If I had to move each file to my new computer, what would I actually keep? Is probably like 1 to 5% of the files. And then just abandon the rest. Nonsense, not useful. And yeah, I mean, most of the files would be like contracts, deeds, lease options, rental agreements, trust accounts, life insurance accounts. Everything else, kind of not necessary. Convenient. You can look up some old stuff. My cousin he's in Las Vegas. He manages, between him and his wife, they're property managers. They manage about 1,300 units. They got some of the biggest apartment buildings. They do volume managing. Then they also have their own rentals. Really neat real estate investors. We have a ton of fun conversations. Bless you. And he was telling me that he was working for a firm and they gave him an email address so that they could correspond without having to Gmail. And they worked out contracts and then worked out this and that. And he's supposed to get this percentage of growth. And he really helped him grow in a huge way. And he was supposed to get, a 7-figure payout from the growth that he helped. And all of his proof of the growth was in the emails that he had been given by this company. And he went to make the claims. Hey, give me my payout. And they said, you're fired. And he was like, what? So he went to go and sue them and say, hey, I helped you grow this. You were supposed to do that. And then they locked him out of the damn email account. So all of his proof for any claim was gone because he didn't own the data. He kept it in a cloud server that company controlled. Now, if he had had all that data on his own, they couldn't have taken it from him and he could have made his legitimate claim. So it's not even these big giant companies that are spying on you that are making a problem for you. It could just be the next partnership you get into that could manipulate the data. So, and he told me this maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I asked him, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned about being a real estate investor? And he told me this story in much greater detail than I told you. But the lesson at the end of the day that he was like, Michael, if I'd have just known, control your own info, control your own data, be the one that possesses the key to whatever info you need to get. If you get shut out, it's like it never even happened or never existed. And of course, where he would be if he'd had that million and then multiplied it over the last however many years. Now, because he's resilient and has a smart brain and good work ethic, he's fine. But it was a great lesson in control.
Yeah, and he could have also just before he made that claim, he could have just forwarded all those emails to his personal, and he has a copy. And another thing also that he could do, if he will sue them, they can subpoena now the other party, but again, they can also say, well, their computer crashed and they don't have the information and stuff. But I know they can track those documents. So that's also, but I know it's a lot of work and money because you'll be paying a good attorney to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's worth it, I mean, if there's a lot of money, he can, definitely afford to, to get a
Yeah.
good attorney and be able to get the documents.
Whenever you work for a company, usually if they give you access to an email address, part of that licensing is to them, so that technically you don't own it, they do.
Correct.
So whenever that happens, if you fired before you have any claim, you no longer have access to a part of the company
Mhm.
policy.
Right.
Usually that's going to be the case.
Yeah. That's why I say it would have been great if he forwarded it to his personal before he made that claim. Yeah.
Yep. Learning every
But
day.
then the company could countersue, say he's stealing data from them because
Yeah.
those were company properties. So there's gonna be always those legal loopholes to deal with these stuff.
Right. So just like we, read every bit of data and we do a title report before we buy something, and we're looking at all that data before we make a decision, that data, that the research, the protection up front, I'm going to save so many headaches down the road, right? A $300 title report could save you a $100,000 mistake. So a $300 privacy process could save you this, that, and the other down the road. So we got, what's the word? We got conditioned for convenience. And the trade-off for convenience is no privacy, is spying constantly. And so I'd rather not have that convenience. I'd rather work a little bit harder and be private. It's like the convenience of the grocery store. That's great. But that convenience is only great if every other part of the system is working flawlessly. And so in order to opt out of that convenience, I'll just grow some of my own food. Like, think about this crazy scenario, okay? The Tesla trucks, you've seen these, not the Cybertruck, but the semi replacement, the big 18-wheeler replacement trucks. Have you guys seen these? They're incredible. Incredible. They can daisy chain onto the highway and use that, I don't know what it's called, it's like a pocket of air, like the Venturi effect. I forget what it's called, where you can ride in that pocket of air, and every car behind you has way less resistance, is more fuel efficient, or in this case, energy efficient. And so you could daisy chain 10 or 20 of these trucks to just move a whole train of cargo, and they can brake and accelerate at the same time. It's going to be fantastic for production. There's 3 million professional drivers in this country right now. As soon as those trucks
It's called drafting. My dad used to use that to make his Volkswagen van go down the freeway for free.
That's it. Yep, drafting. And that air can kind of like drag all the other cars along. It's an amazing little thing for efficiency. Thank you for that, Pete. But 3 million professional truckers. Then another million drivers, like cabs and limos and other things like that too. So we've got millions of drivers. That is their profession, that robots are coming to replace these jobs. Now, some truckers have been doing it for decades, and it's their lifestyle. So it's not just a source of income that's going to be replaced, but it's also part of their identity, right? They go to the truck stop, they take the trucker shower, they go to the trucker hotels, and they eat trucker this and trucker that. And then if you think about all the ancillary support, right? The staff at the hotel that supports the trucker, and the employees and the staff at the gas station so that the trucker can fuel up, and the staff at the restaurant so that the trucker can have a meal outside of the car, and all of the infrastructure to bring the material to the restaurant and the material to the gas station, and all of that stuff is only there because the truck had to stop after a certain amount of miles, and had to stop again, and had to stop again, and then they realized they built these little cities around the stops. If it's a driverless car, it's not stopping. It's just going to go. It's going to go right past some of these cities that were built around trucks. Right? I would drive through Salt Lake to Denver. It's an 8-hour drive. It's 500 miles. I did that hundreds of times building the Renatus team. And I'd have to stop. And I'd see these cities, towns, that were strictly there because of the gas stations, right? 2 or 3 giant gas stations, and then 5 or 10 restaurants around them, and then 2 or 3 hotels around that. And that was the whole city. It was around truckers. Well, if the robots replace the biological driver that needed to stop and rest and eat and creature comforts and shower and all that, those hundreds of employees and the people that are all working around that system out of each of those towns all across the country are going to be obsolete. It's not going to matter. When on 2 sides of that coin, we have these intelligent kids going to these colleges, learning how to make robots and AI and programming, and that, they're getting cheered on by their family and their classmates, and in this whole industry, it's going to be improving people. It's going to cure cancer. It's going to do so many amazing things, but it's also going to replace trucker jobs in addition to this, that, and the other thing. I mean, radiology is going away. A lot of things are. But what's going to happen is, well, what I don't want to happen that could happen, and I will not be caught in that mess. Those roads and the way that companies have made, they call it just-in-time stocking. There's no longer a warehouse in the back of a Walmart or a grocery store, a Home Depot. There's no longer a warehouse on site where they can restock from. They just know that a truck is coming tomorrow. And so they only put on the shelf what they have. Because they know that tomorrow a truck is coming. Well, some of these roads that are connecting our cities are easily only 80 feet wide. How long is a trailer? 80 feet wide. So a couple truckers that could get angry could easily just park their truck sideways, cross a road, and completely suffocate a city. Now, if all your groceries were on that truck that's in that 10-hour line that's blocked by 10,000 other trucks that couldn't get past this one to get to the next city to stock that shelf, it'll be a cascade of chaos. So I don't want to be caught trying to go to the grocery store with empty shelves at home and empty shelves at the grocery store. Oh, what a terrible feeling. So when I go to the grocery store and get stuff off the shelf, it's convenience. It's not because I need it. And it took a while, took some learning to be able to get to that position. But think about it. A couple angry truckers who said, no robot's taking my job. They get on their CB radios and get everyone else all riled up, and then they just strategically create some chaos across the road systems because they're protesting. They don't want their job to be taken by a robot. I get it. It's not going to be comfortable.
We're coming to your backyard, Michael, when that happens. Since you have some plants.
Oh my goodness. Just start planting a couple trees in your yard right now, guys. Go plant some apple trees and some pear trees and some peach trees. Just get a couple trees. You will feel so rich when you look out your window in the morning and the sun is coming up over your automatic food system, which is some fruit trees.
Yeah, we have over 2,000 fruit trees, but they're in the Philippines, so we have to go to the Philippines. We have over 2,000, really. Seriously, Michael.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
3 to 5 years when we start harvesting.
Woohoo! Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because you got the pig operation going on too, you need the
Mm-hmm.
food that you can't
Chicken
sell,
farm.
you just give to the animals. It's
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's
That's
exactly,
fun.
and I love what you're doing, being self sufficient, because that's exactly, what we're doing is like, we have these beach properties, we have, fishing boats and all that. We have rice paddies, so we can have free rice and we can plant fruits and vegetables and crops and all that stuff. So even if the market, there's nothing, at the market, we won't starve. That's how I actually designed it, and that was that was even before Renata. So
Nice.
it's just because
Yeah.
how I grew up, where we didn't really have much. My parents didn't have much, so I thought this would be something that at least we won't go to bed hungry and all that. So
Yeah, I remember hearing a couple people talk about growing up, and they said that there were times where their family was so financially unstable that the only thing that kept them alive was a single apple tree.
mm,
And they would
yeah,
have
I can believe
applesauce
that.
and apple toast and apple this and apple that, apple soup, apple cider. Like,
Yeah, right. Well, I remember like my father actually, because there was like a time where it was like there was like a bad weather, and my mom actually went to get some rice, but we were in the island, an island that only two couples, two houses, that they were, my parents were caretakers of that island, and so my mom couldn't come back, see, because it was like otherwise the boat would capsize. She would come back. So she stayed up until the next day, and then yeah, we didn't have any rice, we didn't have any food, so my father had to get coconuts and feed us, kids, and I was like 5 at that time. So you can eat coconuts. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to
Yep.
have that
The coconut.
cocoa land, and that's another thing we have there too.
And all of this is coming back to the conversation of self-reliance.
Yes.
That has to do with our business too. Like, the beauty of the Renatus design is that we can be self-reliant. We can pick the hours we work. We can pick the customers and clients we go after. There's no expectations other than being honest and ethical, right? But other than that, like, it's this life by design thing. Being self-sufficient, you can turn it on and off, right? When Corinne was asking, "Hey, are you coming to Utah to do another ramp up?" That's, I can turn it on and off. I get to pick. These are the benefits of embracing this program in its entirety versus, tippy toeing and saying, "Well, maybe if this Renatus thing takes off, then I'll really get into it." Is that how things work? Is that how you found your spouse? No, you really went into it, and then you found out, yes, this is the one. You're not going to find it any other way. You have to go into it all the way. And so when I was working at Jiffy Lube and Sears, and I had to get to Jiffy Lube by 7 a.m., but they would only let me work 8 hours a day, so I had to leave at 3, and then I'd get on a bus or a bike and get to Sears Tire Center by 4, and then they would let me work until 10 p.m. So I got my 15 hours a day. I was such a good worker. Crazy. While I was thinking about that, I'm like, hey, I've never missed a day. I don't call in sick. I'm not late. I represent the company. When I put on the goofy uniform, I put on a clean one, right? While I'm representing the company and I'm engaging with the people, I act like I own the place. And that same attitude I brought into my Renatus business. I wasn't thinking, how can I milk the clock and how can I talk bad about the company while they still pay me? And never. And that same attitude, that's how I approached the Thursday night meeting and the Super Saturday and the property tour and the cash flow game. This was the work schedule. You're not late. You don't call in sick. You don't make it harder for your team members because you decided not to come today. I was never like that. And I think because I brought that attitude over when I started working here, millions of dollars have come to me because of it. And it's not because I necessarily am smarter than you or put in more hours. I was just the hours I put in, I was all the way in. And I want the benefits for you to come from working like that. And it will. Since I got started, Renatus has improved drastically. So, and the price hasn't gone up nearly to the extent that everything else in America has gone up. If we would have followed inflation rate since Renatus started, it would not be 26 grand. It would be more like 60,000 from 2010 to now with inflation prices, 15 years at 9%. Is over 100% increase. So price is still low. It improved. People have more dollars technically. It's easier to sell. Everyone understands online education. So why are some people only making 500 a month and some people are making 25,000 a month? It's only 2 sales, by the way. It's because the hours that they do work it, they're all the way in. So bring that approach. Like I would think too, like a few times where I, got a crazy headache, I got like the flu or something, and I just shouldn't go to work. Right? So you don't want to get other people sick. Once every 5 years, you get that kind of sick. I still went to work so they could see me and go, oh man, go home. Because I didn't want to call in and just be like, I don't feel like it. I wanted my team to know that while I was there, I mean, I was only getting paid $9 an hour. So the money wasn't the motivation. It was that I wanted the reputation of a reliable person. So I still showed up. And now when I'm not there, those dudes know, wow, Michael still showed up. So they're not begrudgingly working all day extra, right? When you got a team of 5 and one doesn't show up, everybody's got to work way harder. That same attitude, I don't want to let my team down. All we're doing is changing oil. We're not changing lives, but still the same level of seriousness, so that when I got to the event planning stage of Renatus, and same with working on my real estate deals, is that same level of, you can count on me even if I'm sick, damn it, you're gonna have to send me home. Guarantee if you guys have that attitude over the next 12 months, you make 100 grand in Renatus. Easy, if not 500. So I'll be there to help you guys, encourage you, support you, maybe even roast you if you're open to that. I know some of you can handle it. Some of you I don't know well enough to roast yet. But guys, we got all the right ingredients. It's just a matter of, what recipe are you following? Are you following the recipe of mediocrity or of excellence? Got to follow the recipe. All right, well, any last topics before we wrap this one up? This has been a ton of fun. We kind of covered a gamut of topics today.
Hey, whether it be this time or next time, I have another message, but it kind of goes back to your old, which you bring up the conversation a lot. And I could do more research about it too. But it's about, although it's kind of funny when it comes to privacy, I feel like that every family, well, I want privacy from everybody else. I don't want people to find out who I am and stuff when they look up a property. I want to make it hard for them. But on the flip side, I want to know everything my family's doing. I want to know what my kids are doing, what websites they're watching, how long they're on screens, and to be able to, to be able to lock that down so they could be as productive as possible because I care so much about them. And I've been looking into ways to find out ways I could track to see what they're doing. Because sometimes kids are really good, they're really resilient, and they're very sneaky.
Yeah.
Like they're really good at overcoming problems. And so for them, a problem could be, well, I need to get through this thing. Like I put on my on a game, half an hour time. Like, and I think I might even forgot the 4 little password, but I just looked this morning that my kid was like on 4 hours on a day. I'm like, when does he even have time? And how does he even get past the code? Oh man, yeah. So so being able to have like a good method to be able to kind of track what they're doing that they can't bypass. Also,
Well,
and also block.
yeah, I mean, if
I
it
have a
were up to me, take the damn device.
I would ask Tim a question. Who's your internet provider?
Right now it's Google. It's a Google. What do you call it?
Internet.
Internet.
Comcast? Is it?
Oh,
Is
it's a
it?
Google. It's Google. It's Google Fi. Google. What do you call that?
Oh, okay. So the reason I asked because on some internet services allow you to do device timing management. So instead of going to the device, you disconnect them directly from the internet. So you
From their
limit them.
IP address.
So, for example, right now I have Xfinity in my home. So, like, I can go through each device and turn it off at a certain time. So, basically, let's say dinner time, you don't want no internet access. So, every devices that's connected that you don't want connected, it shuts off for that period of time. So they have no internet access at all.
So you go direct to like the command, like well, I
So,
don't know what you call it, the command center or like that, like
yes.
on
So
like
they have,
the
so you manage the device.
admin like log in as an admin on that one and work from there.
Exactly. And then you can determine, how long they stay
Then
connected
they
and
use their
how long.
iPhone hotspot instead.
Even that, you can install parental control on the iPhone. There's a whole other setup for that.
Again, you're outsourcing parenting, if I may be critical or sound critical, you're outsourcing the damn parenting to a device. Would your grandparents pick the same thing? No, they wouldn't. So it's that convenience trade-off. Like, sure, it's convenient to put something in their hand to make them shut up.
Oh. But
You're
I
not
mean,
listening right now, interacting with another human at a park or something.
no, it's to each their own, I guess. I mean, you have to be, you the provider of the house. You have to tell, okay, this is my rules. This is how we're gonna do things, and if you can't do it, then this is the sacrifice. Then you have to give up the device for a couple weeks or whatnot. So if you don't like 1 hour, 2 hours, hey, how about a week off of it? See what
Yeah.
you'd rather trade off.
Yeah, it's definitely being a lot stricter and then making more expectations from them. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking about the boys. You got some boys. How many push-ups can they do? How many pull-ups can they do? If you can't do 10 pull-ups today, give me that damn iPad. Like, making it a thing that they earn, not a thing they get by default by just being alive.
Yep.
I mean, I'm lucky. I got started earlier than you did, right? I have a 5-year-old. You got some teenagers now, so they didn't have the same data 5 years ago about the trap, but I got it. I got the memo. My kid's not even allowed to touch a phone, right? Let's say it falls off the table and he wants to be a helpful dude. Don't touch my phone. And to show him that it's so of such little importance in my life, I leave it on the ground. So part of it is we have to change even the perception of our kids looking at us holding the phone. Okay. I show him I'm irritated by the damn thing. So he doesn't create a desire for it. And
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
yeah, man.
Because
Yeah.
my kids are asking for phones, but I just want them to be able to have a phone from the 1990s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Rather,
And you can
where
get
hey,
those.
text me, call me. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need to go online and go on these different, apps. You don't need TikTok. Please, yeah. You just need to get a hold of me. Maybe get maps so you know where so you know where you are.
No, no maps. Learn a map. Learn how to read a street sign. Learn what northeast, southwest is.
Give
You're
them,
so lucky. You got the mountains right there east every time. You just know. But I
give
teach
them,
my kid, right?
give them a
And
page.
I
Give them
bought my kid
compass.
an atlas, a road map atlas, so he could just look at all the maps of America and all the roads. Like, I'm telling you, man, be a little stricter, but tell him why you're doing it. And if they
And
say,
reading a map is a survival skill. A lot of people can't read a paper map.
hey, again, Pete with survival
Yeah.
skills, I'm telling you, he's got your back. So part of it, Tim, is just considering the trade-off of convenience. How convenient is it that you have 6 wild kids all sit down and be quiet for an hour, and then you and wife can work some stuff out without all the listening ears, versus them being on it for 4 hours a day? And did you know that kids' eyeballs are still growing, and when they're staring at a screen that young, that long, it elongates their irises and pulls their eyeballs and deforms the shape of their eyeball? That should be enough motivation to tell them, sorry, I'm taking it away, and let's do something better.
I want you to grow up normally, normal shaped eyeballs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, dude. How we were all told as kids, don't sit too close to the TV. Huh? And how close was too close in your house?
No, that's one brother. Yeah, but yeah, you're like 6 feet, at least 6 feet away.
Yeah, now we're putting the damn TV a foot away in their hands, and it's
Mhm.
reading their biometrics, right? The camera on the phone is constantly scanning the dilation of their pupils to see if that thing they just showed was stimulating enough.
Oh shoot.
In our day, the radiation levels from television was very significant. Now you don't have radiation from LCDs, but you do have, like you said, the pupils are messed up.
Interesting.
So when I started looking at all the negatives that come with it, because everything has a trade-off, and all the positives I would get for just unplugging that process, it wasn't easy, but the pros outweighed the cons of just saying all the way no. And
Yeah, got it. Yes, I'll look up some more things. Thanks for the advice on like how to control um at like an admin level the devices at my house.
cool. Yeah. And stair step it. A year from now, you'll have a totally different policy, and you can just implement, one thing a month, and before you know it, you'll have privacy, you'll have control, and part of that is safety, So I appreciate your willingness to share this stuff, Tim, because some people don't want to talk about it, but we all learn from it. So thank you for sharing. Awesome.
So how about when we're taking Renatus classes? We always, I mean, me personally, I use my phone, especially if I'm out and about, or instead of using the laptop. So how is that? Is it gonna affect us? We're watching the screen, so
Well, it's more prominent on new eyeballs versus old eyeballs. So if you've already developed, see the difference that we need to constantly developing and strengthening our eyes for every day is looking half a mile out in the distance for several minutes and then looking at something about 10 feet away and changing the constriction of your eye. Because if we're always looking at a screen, it's just that one dilation. You have to look out a window, look down far, 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 as far as you can, and concentrate on that several times a day. That's how you keep your ocular nerve strong, and you'll never develop a need for glasses.
Mm, so okay. So for us, it's good. Only for the kids are critical with this. Did you say it was up to like 14?
Yeah, they're saying don't let kids have access to social media for their consciousness development at age 14. Interacting with, being able to input and output with the website.
Mm.
No.
And what it is with the eyes? What for the eyes?
And that's any screen. That's not just apps. That's just the screen itself and the
Mm-hmm. I mean, how old? How old is the child? That would be safe for them to use the screen.
I mean, each kid's a little different context wise. I mean, I could see a justification for getting an Apple Pencil and an iPad and teaching the kid calligraphy, so he can practice over and over and not make a damn mess all over my house. He's still having to write instead of type, and he's still seeing the hand-eye coordination. Right, he's not interacting with a website, nothing spying on him, but he's looking at a screen. Does that fit into the parameters of the rule we set up? I think that would be easier to justify than just playing Blues Clues or whatever other thing people play for their kid. In language development, a child cannot hear a digital voice, right? And our brain is a blank slate, and wherever that human's brain is raised is what language it will pick up. It's incredible. But as that language is being developed, different channels of the brain are being cut off so that energy can go to that language based off where you are in the world. But that's only from hearing analog voices, not digital voices. it literally doesn't fire in their brain that speaking is happening if it's coming from a speaker versus someone's mouth. And they put these, MRI scanners and everything on the baby's brain to see what's being triggered hearing a voice versus hearing a recording. The recordings don't signal, they don't fire. So they're not actually developing the language by hearing recordings. Until about 2 years old, can the recording be deciphered into, oh, that's language, that's words, that's useful for me. So, because I was thinking, I'm going to teach my kid Chinese, but I don't speak Chinese, so I'll just put Chinese recordings on. It doesn't work. The data's there. It doesn't work. So now I have to learn so that I can say it to him, so it can trigger in his brain to hear the word. So there's another piece of brain development for you.
Right. Yeah, I guess my question was, it was when you were talking about the development of you said the pupil where it curves if the kid is young enough to to use the phone, like the screens.
Mm-hmm.
That
So
that was
12.
where I was, what would be the age of that to, to be able to, for the pupil to not curve, what you were
Right,
saying.
to not be distorted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to do it, cool. I mean, the longer you can delay it, the better. But
The
the
better.
key is to counteract that is to take the kid outside and make him look at something way down the way. That water tower, that light pole way over there, that house, that tree, and look and describe it and talk about it and force their, several times a day, balance it with whatever screen time. So age-wise, I mean, it's going to happen regardless. You have to counteract it actively. So I know that's not the answer you were looking for. You want an age. There isn't really one. We have to constantly.
So it's really like an exercise. It will be like, it will be like a muscle because when you do that, you do that every day, then your muscles get better,
Yeah,
get stronger. So same with what the eyes you're talking about.
yeah, exactly. And think about how grateful you are for your eyeballs if they stopped working, or how handicapped you would be if glasses were required. That technically is a handicap, right? You're crippled in a
Yeah,
way.
right.
And
Absolutely.
and of course Pete's gonna come off of mute and say, handicapped people are at risk in a survival situation.
Thank you, thank you so much, Michael.
Oh yeah, thanks for letting me play with you a little bit. Awesome.
Sure, sure.
Sure. Ni hao. Yeah, it's working. It is working. Cool. All right, well, I think it's about time we get on with it. I just got a message from the electrician that he's coming here to wire up the new lighting for my garage. So I'm going to go meet him. And guess what I'm going to tell him about? I'm going to tell him about Renatus and real estate. I know he can afford it. Electricians can definitely afford it.
Nice. This was good. Thank you. It was a good morning.
Yeah. Glad
We
you guys
touched,
all showed up and we could make
we
something out of
touched
it.
a lot. I think that's the best part. Being
Yeah,
able to talk about having a space to talk about things that actually matters, not just always about making money, but also protecting ourselves and the things that matters. I think that's
that's
very
right.
important.
Health, wealth, and happiness.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Michelle.
I'm
Bree,
I'm
Brian,
grateful to
everybody.
Mike for teaching me to look for what matters instead of just doing everything. Do what matters.
That's right. Move that needle. Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you tomorrow for Takeoff Tuesday, and go spread the good word about what we're working on and go improve other people's lives. Appreciate y'all. Bye for now.
Thanks, Mike.